Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the Monday edition of Inside the 20 with myself and Keith Niebuhr and Cole Pinkston. We will do our absolute best to get as much recruiting intel to you inside the 20-minute mark. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3, and joined as I always am by Mr. Keith Niebuhr. But we got a special sit-in today with Mr. Cole Pinkston. How about you, fellas?
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
What's going on, man?
How about you, Keith?
I got some guy. Yeah, I'm in my car. I had to take it in to run some errands this morning, and I'm sitting in my car, and there's a guy next to me on the phone. He won't shut up. So I'm gonna be putting this thing on mute. I'm like, who's he talking to?
Well, he's probably calling me because I've had about 3 already wanting to know.
Well, he might like the car. You're right.
Want to know where you got the car, and I've got just the answer for you, big dog, sitting behind Keith, blaring his mic. Caleb Schofield, Mike Patton Auto in LaGrange, Georgia. They're off of Lafayette Parkway, man. Give Caleb a call, 334-531-0996. Fantastic selection of new and used cars. He's got new Ford, Lincoln, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Honda. Fantastic used car lot with a very diverse selection of cars. All used cars have to pass a multi-point inspection, just as Keith's Bronco did. They don't, and they still back them with a free 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty. If anything happens between them, he'll fix you up. All the new cars come with free lifetime powertrain warranties, unlimited time, unlimited mileage on that deal. Huge deal from Caleb Schofield, 334-531-0996. Hey, if you're not looking for a new car but know somebody who is, send them to Caleb. He'll send you back $300. Can't beat it, man. Caleb Schofield, 334-531-0996. Good start to the week. I tell you what, speaking of good start to the week, how about Auburn getting started back from spring break today, Monday, March the 13th, with a huge, jacked, stacked list of visitors, including 5 of the top 201 recruits, Bradley Shaw being the 201, and then 3 of those guys are top 100, including a top 10 overall recruit, 5-star Jalen Mbakwe, 5-star commitment to Alabama, going to visit Auburn today. You've also got Kamarion Franklin, the number 1 recruit in Mississippi. I think he's a top 40 overall kid, 4-star defensive lineman from Lake Cormorant, Mississippi. So you've got the top player from Alabama coming in today. You got the top player from Mississippi coming in today. You got one of the top offensive linemen in the country, and certainly in Texas, in Casey Poe. We all love Jalen Crawford, who's coming in. He is a top 100 recruit from Brad Lester's neck of the woods over at Parkview in Lilburn, Georgia. Dylan Hip coming, he's not coming all the way from Arizona. He is from Arizona, but he's hit Tennessee. He hit Ole Miss. He's going to hit Auburn. He's going to hit Miami, but Auburn is part of his visit route. He arrived in Auburn on Sunday. Will stay until this afternoon. And then, of course, Bradley Shaw coming down from Hoover, the 4-star linebacker. Jameer Grimsley coming up from Tampa Catholic. Michael Bureau is coming over from Creekside. I think that's Josh Holsey's neck of the woods. Antonio White is coming with Jalen Crawford from Parkview. And then a huge, the number 2 recruit in Mississippi, same school as Kamarion Franklin. He is a 2025 DB, Jacoby Hobson. Cole, what do you think about that list?
I mean, for a Monday, that's unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
And I know spring breaks and things are going on right now, but still, I mean, I was just in a meeting with some of our higher ups at On 3 with recruiting, and you know, I told them we had a bunch of guys to go see at Auburn today, and they were like, "Really?" On a Monday, I was like, "Yeah, like 10."
Yeah,
and they're big time guys. And they were kind of surprised by that. So yeah, I mean, look, huge visitors. I think the headliner, personally, is, and there are some definite I don't know, Jalen Mbakwe, Jalen Crawford. Those 2 are 2 of your top DB targets, regardless of where they're from in the country. But Casey Poe, man, to me, that one is that's just a huge visitor. And I'm told that they're taking precautions to make things big for him. At least Jake Thornton and the offensive line coaches want that to be
really going to roll out the red carpet.
Yeah, to an extent. Of course, you got all these other guys there that you're, probably going to do the same for. But just from what I understand, they are really excited to get him today, and they think they got a shot here. They really do.
What do you think?
When you're bringing a guy an elite guy all the way from Texas, you don't know that you're going to ever get him back, right?
Right.
Like, is it a one-shot deal? I think you have to go in assuming it's going to be a one-shot deal. Now, it's probably not. We think, and Cole thinks, they got a good shot at getting an official visit from him. But I think you have to have the mindset when a guy's coming from that far away that, hey, we as a program may only have this one shot. Let's make it count to make sure we get a second shot. So I think that's significant. First, by the way, Cole, I didn't know they talk about recruiting in HR meetings. They never bring those up when Jeffrey and I are in those things. But anyway, but no, I mean, you both made great points. I mean, that's a hell of a list. I mean, for any day, let alone a Monday, it's a great start to the week where Auburn's getting back from spring break, and a lot of these recruits are going on spring break. And it's a great number. It's a good sound number, but not too many. Not too many, not too few. So everybody's going to be busy over at Auburn, but they won't be so busy that they won't be able to give the kind of personal one-on-one attention that each of these recruits needs. And that especially includes head coach Hugh Freeze, who's going to be able to prioritize the guy he needs to prioritize. And quite frankly, it's going to be most of these guys, I think. But, maybe a guy that's a guy they're just keeping warm. The number still allows Freeze to go spend 10, 15 minutes with him if he needs to. You know what I mean? So I love the list. Bradley Shaw's a guy we don't really talk about much because we can't get him on the phone, but a hell of a player, in-state guy. Hoover, you're trying to kind of protect that border a little bit more than what's been done in recent years. Kamarian Franklin's an interesting one from Mississippi, the number one player in the state, a defensive lineman, so huge position of need. Jeremy Garrett is from Senatobia, Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got the defensive line coach. So he's got the connections there. Hugh Freeze has the connections there. Jake Thornton coach there. There's other
Agamaya.
Agamaya, the tight ends coach who we're hearing great things about.
Yes.
He's got a lot of years that he put into that state. I guarantee you he's got some connections to that school. So, Mississippi runs hot and cold, and this is a year where it's pretty solid, and the timing couldn't be better for Auburn because they've got all those staff connections over there. So I love the list.
Ben Agamaya, last night on the call-in show, we were talking about up-and-comer guys. I mean, he's a young guy. Yeah. You're not going to hear a lot of buzz about tight end recruiting, but I believe at the end of this year, Auburn's going to have a couple of really, really good tight ends. I think he's going to be a fantastic recruiter, although limited to what tight end recruiting can be. I mean, it doesn't create a lot of buzz.
Yeah, Jeffrey, here's the thing I like about him and Marcus Davis. Those guys work behind the scenes jobs for a few years. They really, for Ben Agamaya, a lot of years. And if my memory's right, reading over his resume. And so I think those guys are going to really understand the inner workings of the people behind the scenes that have to put these visits on. They're going to have an understanding and an appreciation of them. I'm excited to see what those guys can do. It's a really, and we mentioned this last night, really enthusiastic, eager, and ambitious young staff of assistants, but not short in the tooth. Only when you look at their age, but in terms of experience, a ton of experience for guys that are pretty young. So,
Cole, you like Casey Poe. I love the Cam Franklin. I love a big dog defensive lineman coming over from Mississippi. I really like that. And I love Jalen Crawford. Is he honking? Oh, okay.
I think that the two guys behind me they're solving all the world's problems in this parking lot conversation here.
Cole, what anything else you want to add? I know you like Casey Poe, Bradley Shaw.
Yeah, Bradley, he is a mystery to me. He continues to be a mystery to me because like Keith said, it's hard to get in touch with him. But just talking to people that know him, I still get the feeling that he might want to get out of state, but he's coming back to Auburn again. On a day where it seems like he sort of snuck in there. And I don't know. I think Auburn's in proximity might be a big deal, but at the same time, I feel like you could just as easily get out of state. And Florida, Georgia, I know that they're kind of in his ear. Georgia, I think, is really intriguing to him. So,
oh yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him. I just can't get a good read on him for whatever reason. I'm interested in this Micah Boyro guy. He's listed at 6'5", 300. That's another defensive lineman there. 3-star guy from Creekside. I want to see him in person. That's the guy I want to see in person, see what he looks like. I think that's exactly what Auburn staff wants to do with him, and that's why they're bringing him in. He's intriguing because of his size. I haven't seen his film, but that's one of the more interesting visitors today, in my opinion, even though he's the lowest rated guy or one of them.
Yeah, we mentioned all the 4-star guys. Dylan Hipp, the 3-star tight end, Jameer Grimsley, unranked. But Keith, you think that won't happen? That won't be for long.
Yeah, when we started going to Tampa Catholic, the 2 guys you really heard about were, one guy was Eddie Pierre-Louis, the 4-star offensive lineman. But when Hugh Freeze visited and we talked to the coach afterwards, obviously Jarris McIntyre, the former Auburn receiver, he said, the guy that Hugh was talking about the most, or the 2 guys, were Terrence Moore, who at the time was a 3-star receiver. Now he's up to a 4-star because people are seeing that he's 6'4" and can run a sub 11 second, 100. And the second guy, they have another defensive lineman there that's got an offer. But the other guy they're really focusing on, besides Terrence Moore, the receiver, is Jameer Grimsley, the cornerback, who right now is unranked, unrated by I think almost every service recruiting site, if not all of them. He again one offer January 1st. Penn State came in. By the way, Penn State does a heck of a job of coming down to the South, identifying talent, and being the first in on guys.
Yeah,
they're really now. I think that what allows them to do that, guys, is there ain't a lot of guys to evaluate in Western Pennsylvania, so they got to go other places. But they've done a great job. So they came in, they offered him, and then Auburn actually offered him after Hugh Freeze visited the school that last week of January, and since then he's picked up even more offers. He's up to 2 dozen of them, 6'3", 190. They're saying cornerback, but Ole Miss is looking at him as a receiver. So I think Auburn likes him at DB, but they're going to bring him in. They're going to size him up. And he's visited FSU. I think they made a great impression. But he's a stock-up guy. He transferred in from another school. So that's a school. We talk about the board ever shifting, and Cole and Jeffrey are going to be mentioning this a lot too. That's a guy that they're going to go down when they go in the spring. They're going to watch Tampa Catholic practice along with 100 other schools. And they're going to take notes, and some guys are going to go up and some guys are going to go down based on talent and based on your own need. But this guy seems to be a stock-up guy. Now, we'll see. He's got really good length, and he's got pretty good ball hawk skills. And I believe his father played at UCF, so he's got those genes too. So just somebody to pay attention to. We'll see. I mean, look, Auburn's recruiting a lot of good defensive backs this cycle. He may be at the top. He may be at the middle. He may be at the bottom of that group. I don't know. He's got an offer. They like him. But beyond that, we don't know, and we might not know for a few weeks here.
Right on. We kind of skip over the Jalen Mbakwe. We didn't really put much time into it. And we talked a little bit about this last night. Jalen Mbakwe, 5-star athlete from Clay Chalkville in Alabama. He's committed to Alabama, coming to Auburn. Cole had a little FaceTime with him back in the off season. I don't know when it was. That
I think
February.
Yeah.
And people want to know: should they get their hopes up? And I said it last night. No, you shouldn't get your hopes up, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen it time and time again. It's very difficult to flip an in-state 5-star kid from Alabama. We saw it 2 months ago with Tony Mitchell. It's very difficult to do. Does anybody agree with me? I mean, do you feel any better about this kid than I do?
No.
Okay.
And I've talked to him face to face, and I still don't. I feel the same way you do, but I mean, it was pretty clear that he is considering Auburn pretty highly among other schools besides Alabama, right? So we know that much. Other than that, I really don't know any more about him. You know, I'm curious to know what he thinks after today. How he schedules other visits and things of that nature. I do think an official visit is possible, though.
I do. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, look, we saw this with Tony Mitchell a year ago in the 2023 class. He came in for a visit. He came back for an official visit. He was behind the scenes. He was very interested in Auburn, and to the point I think Keith and I both had. Do we have signing day predictions for Tony Mitchell to flip?
I don't know if you did. Unfortunately, I did.
I think I did too.
You did? Okay. I was going to say you might have expressed a little bit more caution than me, but yeah, I mean, look, Auburn thought it was done. They thought they were getting him. So what are you going to do? Here's the thing though, you only have Jeffrey, 55 official visits?
54.
54. So,
or is it 56?
if you do, I thought it was 50.
Is
it's
it
in the 50s?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the question, though. Okay, yeah, he told Cole, I guess, hey, Auburn's going to get an official visit. Well, by the way, that's got to be signed off by Auburn too, because if they don't feel like they've got a snowball's chance in heck to land the guy, do you even bring him in for an official visit down the road? I don't know that you necessarily do. I think you got to get some real vibes, that you got a real shot, and not be lured in, not be tricked. Not that Mitchell did that. I don't think that was the case, but. I don't know. I think you got to be pretty selective with those things. So it'll be interesting to see if he ends up taking an official visit. If he does, then I think that Auburn's probably thinking, well, maybe there is a shot. But otherwise, again, they got a lot of guys they got to sign, and you got to get guys through the portal. And they came up, the numbers were tight on visits this last cycle, Jeffrey.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? Yeah. So,
brought in a couple of unofficial guys that probably otherwise would have been official.
That's right. So that's right. So you don't just hand those out to anybody.
I agree with you, Keith. But here's something that I've learned along the way with this staff, and if you're looking for something to maybe criticize them on, because we've had a hard time doing that, to be honest. When they see Georgia or Alabama or, one of the big rivals names by one of these recruits, they're committed to this place. He freezes the kind of guy where he doesn't like that. He wants to change that. And to me, he might even go too far with it. Like, I'm going to push for this guy even if I don't have a chance because I want to win that battle. He's got a competitive edge about it, and it could even go too far at sometimes. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it works out.
I don't know. As long as you're not wasting visits, and I think they're too smart to do that. But I part of me thinks that they want to make sure that. Well, here's the other aspect of that. If you go after some key commitments of your main rivals, then they have to refocus some energy on those guys, and less energy on other guys that you may want.
Right.
So there could be some shake and bake. I don't know. We'll see. I do think there's an element of checkers being played by the big schools, and I think Auburn, to get into that mix, is going to have to do some of that too. Again, we talked about this last night on the show, Jeff. The chess of Alabama having kids visit the same day that they're visiting Auburn, piggybacking on those visits, and then those visits last long, and then the kid can't make it. It's Auburn's brilliant. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. So I don't know. I don't think it hurts to have this young guy visit. He's a heck of a player by all accounts. People like him. But if you don't feel like you're going to get an official visit, that becomes the question. Do you give him a spot?
Where do you see? Does anybody have any idea what position?
Corner.
Okay.
Or safety. Corner or safety. Really anywhere in the secondary, I would say.
Okay. He's a defensive guy, defensive secondary guy.
Yeah, and of course the Clay Chalkville game I went to, he was hurt. It was the playoff game that they lost to Parker in the first round, which was a big upset. Jeremiah Beeman ruled that game.
And Clay Chalkville's got a lot of good players. It's I love going to that school historically. It's not too far from Hewitt-Trussville, always another fun school to visit, beautiful area. But they've got a lot of good guys, and I know, Cole, you profiled a bunch of them today, and you're Alabama's 10 or Auburn's 10 most wanted in the state of Alabama.
Yeah. By the way, I know it's still early, but last year when we were doing articles like that, Keith, you mostly were doing the most wanted, but we had to shuffle it a lot because this guy committed somewhere, or this guy committed somewhere.
Yeah.
I shuffled it today, but the top target stayed, and I added a 5-star. Okay, that's kind of how this is going right now. And I know it's early, but I mean that's got to be a much better sign than what we saw last year, right? Can't look at that.
And also, I think kids are waiting longer. For a few years ago, Jeffrey, you'll remember they were committing earlier and earlier. We're like, my God! And now they're going in the other direction. Now a lot of guys are waiting. Now QBs are always going to commit early. But with this NIL situation, I think everybody's kind of playing the field a little bit more than they have than they were maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. That's good. That's good for Auburn.
We will have all the coverage this afternoon at Auburn Live on 3. If you're not a member of that site, fantastic time to join us. It's got a lot going on. The basketball team will be playing March Madness. We've got a lot of recruiting going this week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Friday's list is going to be even more impressive than today's list. A lot going on. Of course, Auburn's in the midst of their football spring practices, which will culminate with an April 8th 8A game. And we'll have it all at Auburn Live on 3. Appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. One more time for Caleb Schofield. Give this man a call. Tell him we sent you, man. He's got all. If he doesn't have the car, he'll find it for you. Caleb Schofield, 334-531-0996. Appreciate everybody, man. Thanks, Keith and Cole, for Zach in the back. I'm Jeffrey Lee. Y'all stay out of that left lane. See ya.